What's up, Conquerors? Welcome to the Conquer Rundown Podcast Sports Edition. My name is Amanda, and today I have some of my very close friends from our brand new wrestling team. Feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Danielle Miranda.
I'm Brian Cedillo.
And you guys are both seniors, correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's just, as always, I have to share a recap or kind of like the purpose of this podcast. So the purpose of this Conquer Rundown Podcast Sports Edition is to showcase some of the student athletes that we have. On campus, we just have so many incredible athletes, and yeah, it's just a way to showcase your guys' talents. And again, my way to say thank you for being some of my biggest supporters all year. All right, so some of the first questions I have is for Brian. So I know that you played a big role in bringing the wrestling team back. What was that experience like for you?
It was incredibly frustrating off the bat because it was just really hard to, just talking to specifically, not Palmer, I forget the other one's name.
Fermano.
Fermano. It was really difficult working with Fermano sometimes. Or not him, but I feel like just trying to get everything together, to me, it felt like he was lagging it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would have to talk to Palmer, and Palmer was the total opposite. He was always on it, and then it was just really frustrating to get a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
Because, well, there's always that stigma that, oh, wrestling's it's gay or whatever, and this and that. There was just a lot of stuff that was difficult in trying to get it together, but and then I had a potential coach, but I guess he backed out. And then thankfully, with the help of Elias Robles, he was a senior last year, and his article, it was able to, it was published, and word got around to Will Escobedo, which was our coach this year. His son was the state champ for 2020. So he went out of his way to come in and be our coach and everything. And then once that was all set up, we had that little kind of meetup in the room, and there was a lot of people there, and it reassured me so much that people were actually invested in or they wanted to be a part of the program, because here I am thinking dude, it's gonna be me and 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just a really difficult process, but in the end, I'm so happy with the team that we got and everything.
That's good. I'm glad. How did you guys do this year?
Sorry. I would say, honestly, from it being the first year that we brought it back, we did really good. 2 of our wrestlers, well, one of them went all the way to state, and then I was able to make it all the way to masters.
Yes, Danielle.
And then we made some of our boys went to CIF, and also our girls.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see just how far a lot of us could go, considering that, me, Danielle, and a couple others on the team, we've only been, this was our first year wrestling. We've had no prior knowledge to this sport. And, for majority of us to place in league and then continue on, it's a huge moment.
Yeah. And,
for majority of the boys that made it to CIF, it didn't go our way for one reason or another. But, for Luis and Danielle to make it to masters and state respectively. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. That's it's huge, and it really does put a stamp on wrestling, on the program here, to say dude, we're motivated, we're driven, and
absolutely,
we're gonna go for it. I am so upset for us as seniors, the fact that we don't get to do this another year, because just this 1 year alone, I fell in love with the sport.
Yeah. I totally get it. I totally get it. Seeing you from football, and I always thought football's your thing, right? Football's both of your things. And all of a sudden I heard that oh, have you heard Brian's doing wrestling? I'm like, wrestling? We haven't had that in years.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm that's crazy that, he's kind of not it's kind of putting it into your own hands. We haven't had a wrestling team in years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden hearing someone that I've worked with before is basically starting this team from quite literally nothing.
Yeah.
That was incredible of you.
Yeah, that does mean a lot. I think just wrestling alone is just such from playing football to wrestling, 100% wrestling is the way harder sport. because with football, you know, like everyone's always going all out, and but I think, you know, with team sports like that, it's like you can maybe slack off one player or another, and you can rely on the other person to like kind of pick it up for you. But with wrestling, it's completely all on you.
Yeah.
Like you're
One-on-one.
putting in all the work on the mat, in the match, cutting weight. It's not just physical, but so mentally draining
Oh, I bet.
on the person. Like, and I completely respect anybody who is willing to step onto the mat and at least give it a try.
Would you say the same thing?
Definitely, because like especially I moved down a weight class from 235 to 189, and just like that, I was on the lower spectrum of 235, but just like trying to cut weight and stay on track, it was really difficult even with that 2 pound allowance. And just like how our coach was like training us and like everything, even after school, like it was physically and mentally draining. But from the results that I got, I was happy that I stayed with it and it got me that far.
Almost like it was worth it.
It was definitely worth it.
Definitely worth
It was definitely worth it.
Okay, so I hope you're comfortable with sharing this, but I see your arm is in a sling.
Yes.
Do you want to kind of share what happened?
Yeah. So, you know, it sucks to say, but both my injuries on both my shoulders happened at the start of the season. I want to say it was legit my first week of practice. I got snapped down and I went to post, right? So that would be just putting your hands down on the mat just to keep yourself like just up. You're not on your knees, you're on the ground. So when I posted, my shoulder popped out of its socket, and essentially I had to just pop it back in during like the round or whatever.
Yeah.
And then from there it just got progressively worse throughout the season. And then the same thing with the right shoulder, except it happened in my very first match.
Oh.
So we went up against South Hills, and yeah, I think this was the end of the first period. I think the start of the second period. Same thing. I got snapped down. I posted, and my right shoulder popped out of its socket, and I had to pop it back in. And then
That's tough.
a minute later, I ended up pinning the guy. So I mean,
Oh.
what does that say about me?
It was well worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
Worth the injury, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, just like, just, you know, practicing at a high pace, especially with guys like, Prada. Like he was our 170 guy. He's a big dude. Like, you know, he was always going all out. Probably one of the most like knowledgeable wrestlers we had in the room. Guys like Daniel Morales. I was a weight class heavier than him, but weight classes heavier than him. But man, that guy never gave you no breaks. Like he was going out there in practice to take your head off. And I loved working with him just because like he was so gritty that he would just like, again, like I said, he was always going all out. He was scrappy. He was tough. And he gave me like a run for my money a lot of the time, but I loved working with him. But just like those high intensity, like rounds of practice, it would just, both my shoulders would just popping out every week of practice. And so for the league, I had to wear Kevin Guan's brace. I wore the brace on my left shoulder because that's what was hurting me the most. I taped up the right shoulder. And I mean, maybe it's just me thinking like, you know, I'm the best, this and that. But I think if I had two, you know, fully functional shoulders, I could have maybe won league. I don't know. I mean, I was only down by 3 points going into the third period against the guy who won league. So, I mean, you know, I can say in hindsight all I want, like, oh, I could have beat him, this and that. I'll never really know, but, you know, and then that was just like really crappy, especially considering like I'm an aggressive dude on the mat. So shooting for my takedowns, you know, I have to get both my arms around the guy. All the guy has to do is, you know, get an underhook and pull my arm up, and there goes my shoulder again. So that went my whole game plan. So I had to switch it up and be a fully defensive wrestler. And, you know, going into CIF, same thing. I had to tape up my shoulders, and I just couldn't withstand the pain anymore. And both of them popped out, and I had to medically forfeit CIF.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you had to experience that, especially as a senior. And the fact that you brought this program like up all by yourself, and then you had that injury to deal with. That must have been tough. I am so sorry.
Thank you. I mean, you know, considering my injuries and everything, I really didn't think I was gonna make it that far, at least to CIF. But placing in league, like that was one thing. Going to CIF, like here I was thinking I wasn't even gonna make it, and then just me wanting to go even more. Like, dude, I'm gonna make it to masters. I'm gonna place a master. I'm like, I don't know. It was just a lot, and in the end, like it just totally crushed me. But I wouldn't trade the experience I had this year for the world.
That's good. I'm glad to hear you say that. Okay, this next question is for Danielle. I know that you weren't one of the only females on the wrestling team. You had 2 more. There's a total of 3.
Yes. We had a total of 3, which was me, Angelina Marucci, and Casey Madrigal.
Mm-hmm.
I love those girls. It was literally just us 3 against like everybody in the team.
Yeah.
Because everyone would always tell us stuff, but I wouldn't have traded. Like, I love them. They're truly like little siblings to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would always like root for me, and I would always root for them. Especially Angie. She got her first win at CIF, which was a really big deal.
That was huge.
I know. I have it on video, and I was just like in awe. And then Casey, I love Casey. She has a lot of potential for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she will go far with like the next 2 seasons since she is a sophomore. And they honestly, they made the experience even better, like having other girls like know the struggle of being in a male dominated sport and knowing how to be like, you have to be tougher. So it really helped like my experience, and it just made it even better, like knowing that they were on my shoulder and I was on theirs.
So that's twice that you have done a male dominated sport. I am like,
Yes.
I look up to you so much, Danielle. You are an incredible athlete. I mean, both of you guys.
You're
but
an inspiration,
You are an
Danielle.
inspiration to so many people. You did. Okay, so I want to share a little bit how I first met both of you guys. But first I'm going to start with Danielle. So I was in charge of the football pages, right, for the yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
And so my job is to get a couple interviews together. So I was struggling because I knew so many people. I'm like, who deserves to be on this page? Like, who? The first person that came to mind was Danielle Miranda. And I had never met you before. I just knew that everyone was telling me, hey, there's a girl on the football team. There's a girl on the football team. I'm like, who the heck is this? Who is the weirdo that decided to do football?
I know.
And so I'm like, let me find it. Let me find her. So someone told me, I don't even know who told me your name. Someone told me your name. And so I hunted you down and I found you, and we did the interview for yearbook. And ever since then, I think we became really good friends.
Definitely.
You've always been hyping me up on the sidelines. You are so cute. You're adorable. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support that you both have given me all year. It really means a lot. And so Brian was also, he wasn't the first person to ask me for photos, but you were one of them. I think it was my second game out, and I had gotten like 4 messages at the time, and you were one of them.
Yeah.
And I even posted this to my close friends, like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah.
Like, where are people finding me? I didn't understand how you guys like found my social media or like
The
what it
stalkers.
was. I was so like, I was in shock. Like, what is happening? So then it was like you and 3 other people. I don't know who it was. And so they're just like, hey, he asked me for photos. I'm like, I don't know if they're that good to share, but like, okay, I'll share them. And then it just kept going and going and going. And soon it was almost the entire roster that I have in my contacts. I'm like, what the heck? I don't know how this happened. I have like a section in my contacts called athletes because there's so many people that I share my photos with. But again, like I keep saying, that's exactly why I brought you guys on here, because I get to select the people that come on here, and I select them very carefully, and I take into account as to who's not only made the biggest impact on the field, on the court, whatever, but also off, because I hear that you're always doing good things, and I'm just like, I think these are the people that mean the most to me, for sure, and that have always been some of my biggest supporters. So thank you guys so much for that.
Your photos are always like, it's always like funny to see like our faces in the middle of a game or like a match, and we're like, damn, we really look like that.
Like I really look like that on the field. On the mat, like damn.
I was always able, cause I think your helmet was a little bit lighter than.
No,
it's not.
Mine was the one that was incredibly chipped.
It was like shredded.
Oh.
Yeah, like
I think that was
the
Ben's.
entire Yeah.
Ben's was like
Ben's is
lighter. It looked
Ben's is
weird.
Ben's was
I didn't like it.
That's how I was able to find people.
Ben's
I just
was
looked at.
Ben's was super light. Roland's was also super light, and Albert, he had like the crazy like
Oh, he had a
pearl
like,
blue.
Yeah,
like
it was
a
like
chrome
like
almost,
Yeah.
right? Like a
chrome.
matte chrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to. I could just figure out from the feet or like the legs down. I could just tell who was who. Like it made my job so much easier. But
Yeah.
I was always able to tell who each player was. It took me a while, but
Yeah.
I finally understood. Even my bestie Jade from 4th period, she would always I would show her a picture and she goes, "Oh, there's Brian's foot in the background. I can see it." I'm like, "What?"
How does she know that?
She just knows every time I show her a picture. Is that Brian? And I'm just like, you sit behind me. How do you even see what I'm looking at?
By your foot? That's
Yeah.
crazy. But that's
I
so
love-
cool to
I
like to
love
know
Jade.
that's his foot.
She just knows. I
Oh,
love
man,
Jade so
He's
much.
always in Converse. That's for sure.
Dude, I like her support has been so tremendous this
Shout
year.
out to Jade.
100% shout out to
I
Jade.
love her so much.
Just like her support like towards the end of the football season was like one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but then like during the wrestling season, like cutting weight was absolutely no joke. The first time that I dropped down to 152,
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that our walnut duel was on Tuesday
Oh,
and not Thursday. So all of our duels the other days have been on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am on the weekend, eating, going out, doing this and that. I probably gained like maybe like 5-6 pounds. So I was like about like 164 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And on Monday, I go into practice and I look at the schedule and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way our duel is tomorrow. And here I am at 164 pounds,
Yeah.
expecting to make 152. So I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm just gonna stay at 160.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of practice goes by, I didn't have I wasn't I didn't have like a bunch of clothes on like to help me cut or anything, like to help me sweat off the water weight or anything. But the end of practice, it's over. I go on the scale and I'm 157 pounds. I'm like, dude, I'm underweight for 160, but with a 2-pound weight allowance, I'm only 3 pounds shy away from making 154. I might as well just cut the rest of the weight down.
Yeah.
So it was me, I believe Devon, Daniel, Luis, Ben, and then obviously Coach Will. And all of us went down to 24-hour fitness. We cut the rest of the weight down. So the end of the night comes. The next morning, I was 151 pounds the next day. So Monday, I came in 164. Tuesday, weighing in, I weighed in at 151 pounds. So I lost, what is that, 12, 13 pounds in a day?
It's over 10 pounds.
Oh,
100%. And I can remember that morning when I woke up just being in so much pain.
Oh,
I was
bet that's a lot on your body to lose over 10 pounds like overnight.
it was
basically.
so draining on me, and it definitely showed in my match. I gave a good fight. Like I really didn't think I was gonna almost beat the guy,
Mhm.
but I almost did. I ended up I slipped up. I was too exhausted. I was drained. I got
Yeah.
caught up, but just the whole process of weight cutting, it really isn't a joke. Like the end of the season, for my very last match at CIF, I weighed in 150 pounds flat. And at the start of the football season, or the end of the football season, I was 180 pounds. So I dropped
Goodness.
30 pounds in essentially a month and a half, maybe 2 months.
That's a lot on your body. That's a lot to take.
100%. And I never looked better. God, I was imperfect.
Definitely.
No, but I mean, all jokes aside, like
No, yeah.
it really is
That's
just
a lot for your
draining.
body to take.
100%. But again, I wouldn't have traded that experience for the world, and that's why like I have so much respect for people who do that, who
Mhm.
cut all that weight
Yeah.
and just go out and put their body, like push their body to the limit. Because I mean, if the CIF rule didn't exist, dude, you'd see me at 145 pounds.
Yeah.
100%. I would have dropped to 145.
Yeah.
All right, so we're running out of time just a little bit. So I just want to close out with any shout outs that you guys want to give. Anyone?
Definitely shout out to Shael and Macy. They're my biggest supporters. Like, they're like my sisters. They always support me in all the sports I do. And also shout out to like the wrestling team, our coach, Coach Will, Angie, Casey, Daniel, Devon, everybody, Viet, even.
Oh my God.
Even
It's
Viet.
just many people. We love to hear it.
Everything. And I think we're actually, tryouts should be coming soon for wrestling.
Yeah.
And everyone is welcome, you know, just try it out. You never know if like you won't like it unless you try it,
That's
because
true.
it was our first time, and that was like the best season ever.
We loved it. Yeah.
Do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah. First off, shout out to Coach Will and Coach Johnny. They have pushed me so much this season. For as soft spoken as Coach Will is, you know, he's been a huge supporter for me. Shout out to Ben, Prada, Devon, Andres, Daniel, and Moses, Luis. Like those guys on the team have pushed me to my limits, and they have, you know, shown that I can push myself, and I can just perform at a level that I never thought I could reach.
Yeah.
So they pushed me to my limits, and I thank them for that, because I wouldn't have been able to show what I can do this season. To my supporters, being, you know, Jade, my parents, my little brother, my best friend Daniel, like dude's like a brother to me, and he lives in Pico Rivera. He came out to see me.
That's nice.
Like Jade has been so supportive this
We
season.
love Jade.
Just getting me through like the weight cuts and the matches. My parents for, you know, showing up. They couldn't make it to CIF, but you know, they called me and they wished me good luck, and that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, just shout out to them, like, for the continuous and endless support.
All right, guys. So feel free to your social medias. You want to shout out any social medias? Personal.
Los Altos Wrestling for sure. My social media is like Danny M_15.
Get the followers up. It's
The
okay.
followers
Oh
is
my
fine.
Definitely a shout out to the Los Altos wrestling page on Instagram. Lord knows when Ben's gonna actually update and
Oh
post
my
stuff
God.
on there.
It's him and Luis.
They're horrible at running
They
the
are.
account. But anyways, shout out to them. My Instagram is _shitheadbrian_. So feel free to give
I was
that.
waiting for that, for him to say that.
So
I was waiting to.
so feel free to give that a follow if you guys are
With
interested.
like the little zombie or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and like Danielle said, tryouts are coming up soon.
Go
The
try out, you guys.
room is A3, A4,
I think A3, definitely A3.
A3. Well,
It is right next to the
the
dance room and Mr. Readers,
Yeah.
I believe.
So thank you guys very much for coming. For more information about today's guest, feel free to contact me on Conquer Rundown Sports. I post lots of pictures on there. Search for Los Altos Video on Twitter, Los Altos Video Production on Instagram, and Los Altos High School Video Production on YouTube. And while you're there, please subscribe, comment, and share, as this helps our channels grow. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.